Welcome to the Back to Me podcast, where we help multicultural incoming freshman women and men manage their entire college experience throughout post-graduation to successfully transition into entrepreneurship and corporate workspaces as new hires.
Back to me. Oh, I turned it around. I'm back to me. I finally figured it out. I'm back to me. So when you think you have nothing, back to me. I go back to me. Yeah, I'm back to me.
Hello, everyone. It's your host, Yoli Tamu. Making the most of your college experience requires you to step outside of your comfort zone and open your mind to the various possibilities you may have never thought possible. In this week's episode of our 4th annual Divine 9 series, we are joined by Kennedy McIntosh, Upsilon chapter member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. In an effort to be closer to her family during COVID, she left the initial college she committed to so she could complete a dual enrollment program at the University of Southern California. In addition to completing both her bachelor's degree in environmental science and her master's degree in studies in law, she discovered she had another interest in becoming a chief pilot. As a result, she recently completed her pilot training at the U.S. Aviation Academy in Denton, Texas. Find out how she used her college experience to explore all of her interests and how her Greek organization has helped her stay emotionally grounded during this election season. Enjoy. We are moving along, and it has been fantastic, this series this year with our students. And I initially said we're featuring these undergraduates, but I have a student today that is just undeniable. She was in an undergrad program, recent graduate, and grad program at the same time, which I had never heard of. Miss Kennedy McIntosh, how you doing?
I'm good. Really grateful to be here. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you for the listeners for listening in. I'm excited to share some knowledge with you guys.
Yes. So I was saying an undergrad and graduate program that you recently completed. Tell me about that. What school did you attend and what was your major?
So I attended the University of Southern California, go Trojans. At the University of Southern California, I majored in environmental science, got my BS there. And at the same time, I dual enrolled in a master's program. So I got my master's in studies of law at the University of Southern California. And so basically USC has this progressive degree program, and it's really a cool program. And I know a few other colleges offer it where you can get 2 degrees at the same time, a bachelor's and a master's. And basically, I think it's after your junior year, you can decide if you want to stay another year and pursue a master's degree. And so that's what I decided to do. So they have a list of programs that are all part of this progressive degree program in every school. So if you want to go to business, you want to go into, engineering, aerospace engineering, you can do that. And what's so great about this program is it's cheaper because you're still paying undergraduate tuition because you're still technically an undergrad, but you're just in a graduate program. On top of it's only a year extra of what you're actually doing. So when I did my program, I only had to stay a year longer versus if I thought about it and wanted to go back and do this master's program again, it might have been like a 2-year program.
Wow. So normally a bachelor's 4 years and you were able to get the bachelor's and the master's in 5? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. 4.5 years. I know we talked about me transferring and I'm getting to that, but that's where it got a little complicated with the credits. But yes.
Got it. I mean, it's just great to hear that those are options for people. You know what I mean? Fantastic. So you were at USC and you majored in environmental science. And then what was the grad degree in?
It was a master's in studies of law.
Wow. 2 totally different worlds, right? Environmental science and law.
And my sister always called me because she was like, I just don't know what you want to do anymore. Because I've been really 2 different degrees, 3 different professions. So it's just very interesting.
Very interesting. You are a busy lady. And now you're currently attending the U.S. Aviation Academy in Denton, Texas, and you're studying to be a pilot. Yes?
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
It's definitely been a journey. I feel like I've been fortunate to have a lot of passion to kind of figure out which one makes sense for me and what I want to experience in this lifetime. So, and it's nice too, because I've had 3 different experiences with 3 different passions, like I said, and I can kind of dip my toes in a little bit of everything.
Yeah, clearly. Okay, so we're here with this Divine 9 series, and you are a sorority member, fall 2023 initiate of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Hey now.
Yes.
So it's so great to have you with us. Now, you told us initially, or you told me initially, that you were at Spelman College before you ended up at USC. Tell me about that journey. How did that happen?
So yeah, when I graduated high school, I, committed to Spelman. And I think Spelman is a wonderful school. I think what Spelman did for me as a Black woman really built me up. When I think before coming to Spelman and after, I definitely saw changes in how I approach today. And I think it was so important in the field I am today, where I'm one of the only Black women that I had that experience at Spelman. Unfortunately, I did transfer. And it wasn't anything that really was with Spelman. It was really with COVID. COVID happened and I really wanted to go home. I miss my family a lot. So I'm from Los Angeles, California. And moving to Atlanta was definitely a big change. I think anyone who's seen both sides of the coast will agree with me. Atlanta is a lot different from Los Angeles. On top of that, just wanting to come home, and then Spelman was talking about staying online for inevitability. I don't know how long that would have been. And then USC was talking about having going back in person. I still wanted the social experience. People always talk about how fun college is, and I feel like COVID was going to take a lot of that fun away from me. So that was really one of the reasons I transferred as well, is because USC was like, no, we're still going to go in person, and I want to be closer to my home. But that being said, obviously, no, I don't think anyone saw that COVID was going to take on the States, let alone the world. So USC ended up actually going back online when I committed to transferring. But going back, my experience at Spelman was, I really think it just really built me up. Like being around so many Black women where people look like you, act like you, talk like kind of understand where you're coming from was really important for me. And even academically, like everyone there was so supportive. I definitely feel like I was a lot closer to my teachers at Spelman than I was at USC. But nonetheless, I'm glad I was kind of able to have both experiences. Like, kind of helped me build me up. Like, just being put in different situations helped me build me up to the person I am today.
Yeah. And I mean, being at an HBCU, it can be a culture shock, even though you are a Black person.
Yeah,
Different
for sure.
experience.
It was.
On different sides of the coast, it can be. So I completely understand what you mean. So during COVID, you were there and then you came home. And I love that you're saying that you knew that. You made a decision that, hey, I actually miss my family. People go to college to be independent, to find themselves, be this young adult. But you were like, okay, that's fine. But guess what? I want to go home. You know what I mean? And you made that decision. So how did you craft your independence still while you were back in your hometown? Were you living on campus? Did you go live back home? How did you define and start growing into your adult self?
So I want to say this. There's a quote that's like, if you don't have to go far to go far, if that makes. And that's something that really resonated with me when I was in college. So to your point, I never lived at home. I was making sure when I did come, I was like, I'm not living at home. I kind of want to just come here on the weekends and see you when I want to see you, my family, that is. And, I was so close to my sister as well. I have a little younger sister, and she's at Howard now. And I really just felt like with COVID, I just kind of want to spend more time with her. But that being said, I did. So when I first transferred, I lived at this apartment called Tuscany Apartments right above Chipotle. It's like on Figueroa. That was fun. It kind of gave me a little bit of the collegiate experience about living, in an apartment, what that would have been like at USC. And, it's still kind of in the COVID year. So no one was really like, honestly, no one was going out, but it was just definitely more sheltered than I think it would have been without COVID. We said to wear the mask, and USC had one of was called Trojan Check. And so every time we had to come on campus, we had to show our ID and this code saying that we're good to go to campus, like we feel good. And then after that, so I did Tuscany for a year. Then my mom was like, I'm not paying this. Like, you need to become an RA or you're moving at home. And I refused to move at home. I was like, I'm not moving at home. So I became a resident assistant at USC. And that experience was actually more exciting than I want to say being at the apartments I was at. Just because being a resident assistant, like that goes into independence, what you're doing. And I know it's not for everybody, but what you're doing is you're over, these students who have just come in here, and I had international students as well. So students who are coming here for a semester or a year and experience life in California, you're acting serve as like not even like a mentor, but someone they could turn to. You're in charge of doing lockouts. You're also in charge of going to weekly meetings. But it was also a lot of fun because I met a lot of my friends I have today. I actually met on the RA team. So it gave me the opportunity to just make more friends. Mm-hmm. And also gain that level of independence. It was I had a room alone. I mean, it was a really good room. I really like my space as RA. I was not like I was on duty having to do RA like 24/7. It's not really how the USC has it set up. It was maybe like once or twice a week. And then with that, I had a lot of friendships, had a lot of opportunities provided to me for being RA. And I really enjoyed that. So that was, I think, three things that gave me my independence. But, or I guess two, because living on campus and RA, two separate things. But moreover, I also that self-drive, like I knew I didn't want to rely on my parents too much. Even though I was only 15 to 20 minutes away from home, me moving home had nothing to do with wanting to, be under my parents' nose. It's more I just wanted to be able to see them when I wanted to see them. So a lot of that had to come with me. And I feel like after the pandemic, everyone was kind of coming out, we forgot how to socialize. We forgot how to really talk. It's with that being said, I think it was kind of having to restart a little bit, if that makes sense. Because I mean, the COVID was COVID's still around, but lockdown was about a year and a half, 2 years.
Right.
So yeah, having to coming out of that and having to restart was definitely something that I can be daunting at times for sure. So I had to really learn how to navigate that. I think COVID, I grew a lot because I was more reliant on myself. I couldn't go hang out. I couldn't do the same things I was doing before. So I think what I took away from COVID too was learning how to kind of have that personal growth and rededicate myself to things that I found important. So with that being said, I did value my independence. And so I did value, growing up and being a grown adult and making adult decisions without the influence of my parents. And I think that self-drive just kind of came from me in particular. So
yeah, I just think it's great because, on this podcast, we serve the incoming college freshmen, experiencing a new environment for the first time, as well as that post-grad, like you, heading out into the workforce, and just the anxiety of transition hits everybody. So would you encourage that listener to not be afraid to say, hey, I want to stay at home with the parent, or would you encourage them to head on out and be independent if they're going to be in the city?
Right. So like I said before, you don't have to go far to go far. So I think if you're going to stay home, you have to have that self-drive. I mean, one thing I didn't mention is that if I stayed home, I already knew me, my mom, love her to death. That is like, I love my mom. But we would have been button heads. And I just know for a relationship, we're better apart sometimes. So we are close together. But, if you did want to stay home, I don't think there's any problem with that. I think, when you do stay home, that self-drive though you have to have more of a self-drive, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like when you move out and you're out and doing your own thing in an apartment, yes, there's self-drive, but it's different because it's kind of forced, right? Because you're on your own. But when you're with your parents and you're still under a roof, you don't have to worry about things such as rent or where your next meal is going to be. You don't have to worry about that. So then you kind of have to have like the initiative to take self-drive and find it in other spaces. Versus like the person who moves out is really on their own. And that's when they're getting their independence. Like, oh, I need to eat. Like, I need to go to the grocery store. I need to figure this out. Like, I need to provide for myself. Like, my family's not providing for me anymore.
It takes self-discipline, and that is a form of adulthood. I'm glad you're saying that. So now you are in the U.S. Aviation Academy and you're going through flight training. And I understand you recently completed what you need to complete to get your license. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So I just got my commercial pilot license on Saturday. I'm not done.
Oh, like recently.
Yeah, just this past Saturday.
How cool.
So yeah, it feels really good. It's a journey for real. Flight school. And, I can go on all and all about how to get ratings and, the steps it takes to get to the airlines and all that stuff. But I'm not going to, take away from that. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, it was something that took a really long time. Not a really long time, because I definitely moved fast with it, but definitely longer than some of my other ratings. Like, that was something that required a lot of discipline. It was a lot of solo time building. It was a lot of trying to perfect all my maneuvers and doing all that and flying with an instructor and also trying to save money at the same time. So a little bit of everything.
I mean, it's pretty amazing to be a young Black woman that has come through environmental science to law to becoming a pilot and you finished it. You know what I mean? You weren't just playing around with it. You finished it. That is so cool. So now what is the ultimate goal? It is to eventually work for an airline. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. So I'm part of Southwest Cadet Academy. I think we talked about that earlier. And so that's their Destination 225 program. And so after I, do all my time building, I'll go work for a regional partner for about 2 years or corporate partner. Then I'll go and start out at Southwest as a first officer.
Wow. So now with this license, you can do some private flights if you wanted to.
So my commercial pilot license is the thing that allows me to get paid to fly. So that's the one I just got. And so after that, I'm probably gonna. It's really about time building. Like the airlines is all about time. Like how much time do you have? And time is valuable. Turbine time, multi-engine time, single engine airplane time. All of that is valuable. It makes you more competitive, right? And so after this, I'll be starting to work on my multi-engine and my certified flight instructor rating. So I'll go instruct for about 2 years to build some time, teach other people how to fly, and then ideally start at a regional or a corporate partner.
Wow. So you actually pay it forward in the program to others. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now you told me also about a organization other than the Delta, Sister of the Skies is what it is.
Mhm.
Tell me about that group and how they support you.
Yeah, so that's an organization of women of color, and they have been super supportive of my training. It's broken down into 3 different cohorts. Basically, depending on what cohort you're in, depends on your rating. And they're really supportive. They have these monthly meetings every month where, they talk about different things affecting the airline industry. It could be something as maneuvers or something more talking about like just personal relationship life, or how do you talk to ATC, or how do you deal with someone in the cockpit who's just giving you a hard time. Just different scenarios that, and we're talking to experienced pilots, like we're talking about mentors that are already at the airlines who already experienced the stuff, that are coming and taking time out of their day to talk to us. And so it's really been a supportive group, I would say, of individuals that really just care. And we're all doing the same thing. And it's people all over the United States. So many people are over the United States. It's about 200 of us, but everyone's at a different airport. Everyone's doing a different thing. But it's really been such amazing, especially because I think I mentioned to you, it's like less than 3% of African Americans, less than probably like maybe even 1% are female. And so it's nice to see and see a lot of these women of color come together to focus on, making sure that we're successful on the airline industry.
So you're covered on both sides. You know what I mean? You've got your sorority. You've got the support of this new career that you're embarking on that already has women of color supporting you. It's just fantastic. You have definitely laid it out and set the stage for yourself. So now, as we talk about and think about organizations, you are a Delta, and we do have those listeners that are not only nervous about going to college, but, they're exposed to many things. And there could be pressure, and some people need to wait it out and do some research. What are the advantages of becoming a Delta? And do you encourage students to, kind of assess everything before they make a decision about an organization? How do you feel about that?
100%. I think you should do your research. I always talk about it. So my mom is also a Delta. My grandma, I got my long line of Deltas. But I didn't want to be a Delta because my grandma or my mom or my aunt was. That was not my reason. I had my own personal choices. I can tell you for one thing that's really important to me was always sisterhood. And so growing up, I've been able to see the sisterhood that Delta has given my mom. I was able to see that a lot. So I think that was really important to me. But even on campus, like the presence that the Deltas had on my campus and how the things that they're doing and they're still doing. Like I just went to an event last night that was put on by my chapter that broke down Project 2225 and had a meditation session right after that. So this is how intentional that was. I think that was something that really got me interested in it. And I mean, and there's so many more reasons, but I think the biggest thing for me was like, I just didn't want to do it just because my mom wanted to do it. I wanted to do my own research. And I encourage anyone who's interested in joining any D9 organization or any organization in general, do your research. I mean, there's nothing much to Google. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So much stuff will pop up. So I really encourage everyone to take some time out of your day and just do research. I think that, this is an organization that really means so much to me. It's given me some of the best people I could ever ask for. I'm so grateful for everything this organization has done for me. I truly am, because I haven't even been in a full year yet, but I think I'm a Fall 23 initiate, but it's just giving me some, like my line sisters, the people I've truly just met. I'm so thankful for. And without Delta, I probably wouldn't have known half these people.
So as a fall 2023 initiate, you were what? You were a sophomore?
I was, I guess, junior, senior.
Okay.
The president degree kind of gets the standing class standing is a little.
Got it. Okay. I mean, I think that's fantastic because we're talking about do your research, take your time. I've heard of students coming in as second semester freshmen, but I understand there's qualifications for that. You just can't jump right in. So it's good to hear. So now you mentioned that you guys had a meditation session after Project 25. Wow. Tell me about that experience. What caused the meditation? Because there was tension in the room or there was stress? Why did we need meditation after that?
I think when you talk about something as heavy as Project 2025, it's important to take some time just to really digest that. I think, the document's 900 pages. I found that out last night. I was like, it's a long
Right.
document. And you have that such a long document, such as that, and you're talking about so many different things related to what's going on in our world and how that's going to affect our world, especially with this election coming up. I encourage all the listeners to go out there and vote. But it's really important that we actually ground ourselves after that. And that was kind of lesson. It wasn't like there was any tension in the room. It was more like, hey, like this is a really heavy topic. Let's make sure that we take some time after discussing this to ground ourselves and, experience gratitude, because the life you're given, you should be extremely grateful for, because not everyone has the same things that you have. So it's basically kind of taking that, like having this meditation session and talking about what we're grateful for and experience just some gratitude.
Yeah.
And so that was really exciting to see.
I think that's just really good what you're saying, because there is so much going on, and to really just pause and breathe to digest what's happening is important. So that's really cool that you guys sat and did that. And I'm just wondering about final words of encouragement, because wow, I just think that's really powerful. There's a lot on people's minds. There's a lot on people's plates, and to just really stop and breathe and take the time to go through up and down that ballot to make sure there's a healthy understanding of what's on there. Are you excited that there's a Divine Nine candidate in the running?
I am. I mean, I'm really excited that she's a Black woman. I think that it's really shows how far the America has come, let alone the US, and let alone us forget about let alone us Black people. Like, I'm sure that the time where a Black person can even think about the possibility of running president. So the fact that our name could even be, or not our name, but a person like Kamala Harris could even be on the ballot is really just fascinating to see, and keep my fingers crossed, because I think it'll be monumental for America to have their first Black female president. To answer your question, yes, I am excited. I think it'll be great.
It's amazing. And so for our listener, you have come through 3 different passions, 3 different interests. I love to hear it. I want you to help the listener that may be juggling and trying to figure out their major. Do you have some encouraging words for that person on embarking on that journey?
Yeah, I would just say take your time. I'm trying to think, like, I remember being so overwhelmed. I mean, my process hasn't been straightforward. It was definitely hilly, I would say. And I'm trying to reflect back because, when I got into environmental science, it was because of my high school teacher. And I was like, oh, like, I thought this was really cool. So I thought I was going to go to environmental science. Did that for a few years. I was really into it in the beginning and kind of lost my passion for it. I mean, I still think it's important to know. And so I'm glad I got my degree in it. Then interned at a few companies, and I was just like, I just don't know if the desk life is for me. And I had that, I had experienced that, right? And then went in and realized I always wanted to become a pilot. And so that was something that I've always been like really passionate about. And so that's what I did. And after deciding the desk life, what it wasn't for me, I was really interested in pursuing that pilot pathway. And so that's what I did. And then in terms of like getting the master's, I really wanted to, long term for me is not just being a pilot. Like, I don't believe the sky is the limit. I fly in the sky. The sky is past the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting a master's, I really wanted to go into kind of some more business roles, some airport operations, and that's where that master's came in. And that's why I thought that was something important for me to get to understand the studies of law, especially an emphasis of business and entertainment.
So they take their time, huh?
Yeah, that would be the biggest thing. And I'm really trying to think, like, time is your friend. It can also be your enemy, but most of the time it is your friend. And there's no deadline you have to figure out who you are. There's nothing that says you need to decide tomorrow what you want to be, right, or who you're going to be. Like, in life, we're going to have a lot of experiences. And like, doesn't matter if you're about to go to college now, just got out of college, like, you still have so many experiences that you're going to go through that is going to shape who you are. And then, like I said, in time will change. Like, I thought I was going to become an environmental science. I thought I was going to study oceans. I don't even know that much about oceans. It's not even something I'm interested in anymore,
And now you're in the air. How about it?
Exactly. So, as I said, time is your friend. Like, you don't have to decide who you're going to be tomorrow. You have a lot of time.
And then you'll find supportive organizations like Sister in the Skies around you.
Yeah, and there's so much out there. I would say, like, I'm also part of an organization of Black aerospace professionals. I'm a part of Women in Aviation, just to name a few. There's so much out there. It just depends on what you're looking for.
Now, you said you're paying it forward already. So for that listener that wants to maybe get in touch with you, do you have an IG or LinkedIn? Where can they reach out if they wanted to learn more?
Yes, I have both of those. My Instagram, hopefully tag in the bio, and my LinkedIn as well. My LinkedIn is just my name. I haven't updated my LinkedIn a lot, but I'm definitely responsive on there. I just haven't updated anything in a minute. So just be mindful if you see me and you're like, it doesn't say she's a pilot. I haven't made that update yet.
No problem.
My Instagram, yeah, I can send that to you, but it's my name and then Helena with 3 A's at the end. So
okay.
That's
all right. We will make that available. Well, this has been an honor. My goodness. I'm so glad to know you and meet you. Thank you.
Me as well. No, thank you for so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope, to the listeners, I was able to give some helpful advice. And my door's always open. So if they do want to reach out, I won't bite. I'm excited to talk to them and help them anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely. And shout out to your soror, Miss Valerie, my Howard mate and friend. Thank you for the referral. So cool. All right. Well, you take care of yourself and I'll be in touch with you real soon.
Talk soon. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you for joining us. So make sure you embrace the gift of time and discover what is beyond your sky. For more information about other episodes, remember to subscribe to the Back to Me podcast, College and Beyond. I'm your host, Yoli Tamu. Leave a review at the end of this podcast. And if you would like to learn more about other special events, join the Back to Me podcast group available now on GroupMe, or simply text Back to Me to 833-206-4565. Until next time, be well.